You were the literal last person to jump on today, so
I was.
that's
I
your
just
fault.
got off a call with Bill Campbell, so
Oh, name dropping on us. Okay.
yeah.
That's fine. I'd be late with Bill Campbell as well.
You were texting me this morning, and I was telling AJ this, like, Nicole and I were at the gym. We were working out. We were trying to get shredded.
Everybody got excuses today.
Yeah.
I'm surprised AJ didn't tell us that he had a bad reaction to duck eggs again. He texted us that, Starla, and my first response was, why does this feel like an AI-generated excuse? Welcome back to the Ministry Without Hating It podcast, a ministry of Odyssey Haven coaching and counseling dedicated to the pursuit of answering the question, is it possible to do ministry without hating it? We have a theory that it just might be. What's up, Brenton?
Yo. How are you?
I'm good. I really can't complain about a whole lot. I mean, I could, but I'm deciding not to.
That's a good choice.
How does that? I've given up complaining for Lent.
All right. I like it. Yeah.
That's not true. But now as I say it on the outside, that's not a bad idea. That's not a bad idea. I'm looking out my window. We're recording this in March and it is snowing. So that's Iowa. That's Iowa for you.
Thunderstorms and tornadoes rolling through Indiana.
We had that just before. And then this is truly Iowa, maybe even the Midwest experience. 2 days ago, it was 70 degrees. I'm not kidding you.
Yep.
And here in Iowa, everyone's like board shorts and let's go hit the beach or something.
Yeah.
It's
not negative temperatures, so now I can wear my shorts outside.
Exactly. All I have to say, a Midwest spring. We just had a fantastic conversation with my friend and actually someone who I get to serve with here in my local context here in Cedar Rapids, Iowa. And that is Pastor Starla Smith. It's funny, I tell her this often. So we've been working together for 5 years, working very closely on a lot of different things. And you get to know people and their family and their history, that kind of stuff. And even in this interview, there were things that I didn't even know or I hadn't even heard yet. And so this was just a really fun conversation from my perspective. Also got to speak to some of the dynamics of ministry and working with somebody. But how did you feel about this?
I'm glad I got to know Starla better. I've only met her a handful of times, and it hasn't been like long talks. And so this was a good long talk that we had. Yeah.
This is, and some really some great wisdom that she's learned throughout her time in ministry and as they all are, the very nonlinear ministry journey that she's had. But even as she stepped into the role she's serving in now as she says, and this comes up a few times, the second chair, just some great practical insight when it comes to working within teams and also serving underneath the person who's been put in charge as the leader and what that means and looks like and how we create cohesiveness throughout all things. And so I'm really excited for everyone to listen to this. We've been wanting to have her on for a while now. And finally, we're able to make this work. And so super excited about that. And so without any further ado, we are excited to pass along and hope you enjoy our conversation with our friend, Pastor Starla Smith. Well, it is our privilege. And as she reminded me before we even started, I may or may not know what I'm getting into. But I am so happy to finally welcome my friend and actual co-worker here in Cedar Rapids, Pastor Starla Smith, to the Ministry Without Hating podcast. Welcome.
Hello.
How's it going?
Thank you for having me today.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
I put that right at the top
That's
of my
right.
notes.
You're welcome.
Make sure you say thank you.
Well, you're welcome. It's good to have you here. We like to start off, as you are not just a guest, but you're a frequent listener, but we like to start off by asking some questions that have nothing to do with ministry, but need to be asked anyways. And so the one at the very top is, describe yourself for us in 3 words.
It took me all of like 5 seconds to answer this question when I was looking through the notes.
Yes.
And I picked bright
Okay.
because obviously my name is Starla, and determined because I don't give up easy, and yielding. I will yield.
Okay. So I know you.
Yes, you do.
But maybe for those who don't that are listening, we can get bright, like you said, from your name, and you can maybe pull it out a little bit more for us. But when I say determined and yielding, those don't always go together in the same sentence.
That's true.
So
very true.
Maybe unpack that a little bit for us as we get to know you.
Yeah, I think that my personality is a bit push-pull. But I am very determined. I like to think through things and what I'm going to do, and I go after it pretty hard. But also at the same time, I sit second chair. So I have to be yielding and be willing to not try to bulldoze my way. But I will say exactly what I think and then yield.
We got to get all the best things in the room and on the table so we can determine if it's the best. So yeah, that's awesome.
Brenton just jumping right in. It's a brand new day. Look at this.
It is.
This is good. Pull out the bright for me a little bit, because like I said, your name is Starla.
Yes.
When you say that, what does that mean?
Well, I think I kind of jest when I say it's just Starla, but I'm pretty keen, I guess, smart. I can see into things. I like to shine light into spaces that are dark and things that are kind of like hidden or behind. What's the meaning behind that word? What's going on? So I like to brighten up places that seem a little dark and maybe lacking some clarity, although I often also make it a little muddy. So that's fun. Just saying.
So what you're saying is we're in for an interview of contradictions, is what we're about to hear.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, probably. Well,
probably. I think I like to have a lot of fun. I like to enjoy what I'm doing, but at the same time, I also like things to be like a little perfectionistic. And so fun and perfectionistic don't go together very well. So I kind of am like a yo-yo a lot, and a lot of the people around me often feel that.
So is that a good thing, bad thing, somewhere in between?
I don't know. I think it could be a good thing because you end up hearing everything. You hear what I like, what I don't like, if I like it or I don't like it. I don't know. It's everything.
It's everything.
All of the thoughts.
You bring it all. Well, that's
good.
Pretty
much. I'm not sure how else to be than just exactly who I am. So.
I mean, that's pretty profound. And in ministry especially, that's probably a great place to start.
Yes, I would agree.
Okay.
Although lots of times I want it to be perfect. And it's just not. I'm so messy sometimes.
Yeah, I can agree I can identify with that.
I'm glad.
Desire to be perfect, and yet sometimes it's a train wreck. Yeah.
Exactly. Exactly.
Depends on the day. Yeah.
But I will get up and try again.
Yep. I'm determined. You're determined.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So speaking from the outside and knowing both of you pretty well, I think that's actually pretty accurate. So yeah, thank you both for your transparency at the very start of the whole thing.
Yeah.
So Starla, what emoji or emojis best describe how you're feeling right now?
Oh man. So right now it's different, but I picked an emoji for myself.
Oh.
You know that one that has the eyebrow is always like kind of cocked up and kind of like.
I use it a lot actually.
But so I went and looked it up, and it said thinking.
No way.
That's the emoji. Yeah, that's the one. It's the thinking emoji.
No, when I send that one, it's usually like what'd you just say? Like that's my eyebrow's doing it right now. The one shoots up.
Yes, that emoji.
Yeah.
But that is the thinking emoji.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
I always kind of see him as sarcastic. That. Like, okay. Really?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because you're just thinking like maybe somebody's not really saying everything they're supposed to be saying, or
Wow.
there's something else going on here.
Is that the one where he has the eyeglass?
No.
No.
That's like the Monopoly guy emoji, essentially.
Yeah.
Got the little
Okay.
monocle. No. This
Okay.
is
I'm gonna have
it's
to go to
literally
my-
like no.
I'm
Yeah,
going-
pull it up. If
I'm
you
going to
actually
my
search
emojis
eyebrow,
right now.
that's how I find it the fastest. And it's just the
Eyebrow.
one that jumps up, and he's thinking.
Okay.
I always thought like whenever I use it, it's like a I don't know about
Yeah,
that.
because he like has his hand on his face, kind of like in the swoosh,
Oh yeah.
and then
okay.
the one eyebrow
I
is
see
up.
it. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, it's like I'm thinking.
Oh,
I picked that one because I feel like I have that look on my face all the time, and people are like, "Are you upset? Is something wrong?" And I'm like, "No, I'm just thinking." Like I literally need a sign that just has ... just thinking.
That one?
Huh. Yeah, you just texted me and everybody heard it. It's great. That's that. Okay, so
I didn't
that's the
hear
one.
it.
That's the one I was thinking of. I think she's talking about a different one though, because she said something about a hand on the chin.
Yeah, it has the hand on the chin
And that is a
Okay.
different one.
and
That one is
one
thinking.
eyebrow up.
The
It is.
one I'm thinking of. Maybe if you just look up search by sarcasm.
Sarcastic.
That'll-
Yeah.
that'll-
Eyebrow. How many?
Which-
Yeah.
which probably explains me a lot. So anyway,
Yeah,
this
okay.
is about Starla, not about you. Okay.
Oh, I got it. Yeah. Got it.
Yeah, just thinking.
Brenton is discovering all the emojis that he never
I
knew
found
that
some
he
new
had.
ones. Well, my kids don't use these ones, so
Yeah, there are
I used
some
to get in
grown-up
trouble
ones.
all the time. All the time as a kid, I was getting in trouble because I had this look on my face all the time. And I was literally just thinking. It's like, what is the matter with you? Nothing. I'm just thinking. Well, what are you thinking about?
Huh.
Everything.
everything.
Well, be free. Let that emoji be you.
Yeah.
Be who you are.
Thanks.
Be free.
Yeah.
Working on it.
All right, so we live in the same city, Cedar
Uh-huh.
Rapids,
We do.
Iowa. And I think you've given me some recommendations, but like somebody coming in for the first time maybe, or they're getting acclimated or whatever, what's your number one recommendation when you say Cedar Rapids, you got to do blank?
Well, it's always going to be Nubo and Czech area.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It's just a great little place to find a little, kitschy thing, a coffee mug, some like, there's this one place downtown. It's like a vintage. Actually, I don't think it's there anymore, which is a really sad thing because they had some cool stuff in there. But they used to make these weird, like, multi-material bags. Really interesting. But yeah, and all my places are old. How about I just say that? Because they're not there anymore. The barbecue place moved. It's not there anymore. It moved down, actually,
She's already
off of
speaking.
Ellis.
She's already speaking like a Cedar Rapids,
Yeah.
Cedar Rapidian, as they say.
yeah.
I find once I moved here, everything is based on a street number, and they're like, "Oh, that's on 8th and 8th," and I'm like, "Yeah, you're gonna have to do better than that." So, okay, so for some, without insider speak, Nubo Czech area means what?
I don't even know.
New Bohemia is
it's-
the area.
It's cute.
Uh-huh.
I like it. It's cute. It's kind of industrial.
Yes.
It has lots of little shops, places to eat,
Yes.
Places to find artistic creativity.
There's a big
stuff like
market
that.
that we love to go to. Got some good little even like stands in there for food that are some of my favorite in the city as well. I think these are great recommendations. I just remember, kind of pulling out what that is.
I travel outside of here. I just live here.
Yeah. Are you a transplant to Cedar Rapids, or is this like home since before the beginning of time?
Well, it's home now, but I'm born in Germany.
Okay.
Then my mother was married, and his hometown is Cedar Rapids.
Okay.
This is where my sister was born, is Cedar Rapids. And then my mother was from California.
Okay.
So we traveled back and forth between Iowa and California. And California is more like when I was in high school, that's where I was at. So it's like more like that's where I'm from. But I've been here since I was 19 and I'm almost 50. So
So you're old.
Awesome.
That's what you just said.
so this is where my husband grew up.
It's kind of the running
And this
joke.
is where my husband is. So this is where I am.
Yes. I consider you to be an Iowan for sure.
Yeah, I'm pretty Iowan.
But but we've been able
taken
to
a while.
Well, and I understand that, but we also relate because we're both kind of West Coasters as well, because that's where I started off as well. So
I think the weirdest place here is like when they say pop. They say pop all the time for like, do you want a pop? And I'm like,
soda?
No, I want a soda.
Soda.
Yeah.
I'm from that.
And I definitely don't want a Coke,
right?
Because that's everything in the South.
That's right.
Like, would you like a Coke? It's like, what? You just brought me a 7-Up.
If it's Coke Zero, yes, I would like that. But
I lived in California for a season, grew up in Oregon, and everything is soda. So
yes, it is.
Being a transplant.
And it's not soda pop.
No.
No.
That just messes with my mind. We got tracked different ways real quick.
Let me pivot out of this. You've been in ministry for how long? How long would you consider yourself being in formal ministry?
Probably close to 15 years.
Okay. I'm going to start with this question that I haven't started with in a while, and I think will maybe help us work backwards. How would you actually define the word ministry?
Oh, define the word ministry.
Yeah.
Well, I used to think ministry was something completely different, just somebody who talks from the front or leads a class or something like that. But I actually think ministry is setting up spaces and places of connection where people can actually meet Jesus and meet Christ in you and Christ in me and have a connection there. It makes for lots of profound little moments. And most of the time, that kind of thing in a church setting anyway happens in the hallways.
Yeah. Okay, so that's really good. And I almost want to work backwards now. Tell us how ministry started, and that can be as part of your story. Maybe what your life was like even before. Maybe you stepped into ministry as you know it now. Give us some backstory on that.
Some backstory on that. Well, the first time I started helping in ministry, it was when our church was on First Avenue, and I started helping in youth ministry. When we moved to this building, Marty Schminke actually was our youth pastor at the time here, and I was just his, second chair person. So I would do all the things that he asked me to do, whatever it was, print the papers, make the things. And I did that for probably like 3 or 4 years, something like that. And then one day, at the time, Pastor Don and Pastor Marty had coffee with me and told me that Marty was leaving to go to Independence. And I was like, oh, great. Congratulations. That's awesome.
Independence, Iowa. Yeah, keep going.
Yep. And I was like, so who's going to be the youth pastor person who's going to lead the thing? And he said, you are. And I was like, no, I am not. No.
She almost swore there. Did you hear that?
Oh, heck no.
Yeah. So that was, keep going. Yeah.
That's how I ended up in ministry. And I always say that the first time, actually it's like the whole first year that I was leading the youth ministry, I cried every single week. I thought it was the worst thing ever. It was so hard to do. I was worried about everything. And I had to grapple with yielding to the Lord in all things and get up every single next day and try again. So pretty determined and yielding. That's where that comes from.
Interesting. Well, and I want to maybe pull back just a little bit on that. And I think maybe it's related. So you mentioned that I'm ready to quit basically each week type of a thing. And I'm wondering if that's tied to your initial, heck no, I'm not that person. What was behind that initial response of resistance?
Probably being afraid to be in front and center, having to teach, having to try and lead something. I'd not done anything. I literally served pizza. That was like the first thing I was doing for youth ministry is just coming in and saying yes to doing whatever was asked of me. And that was at first just pizza. And then it moved to some administration things and just being faithful in whatever was asked of me. And then I ended up leading the youth ministry and feeling crazy. Like how I didn't even know how that happened, but the Lord would use that exact sense and that feeling every time a new level of ministry was coming. That same thing would happen, and I'd be like, and I'd know it was the Lord. Is like He's been kicking me into the next thing since the beginning. Yeah, because I'll just stay. Yeah. I'll just stay and faithfully serve right here is good.
Yeah. Yeah. I hear that. And also can identify so much with that. And like,
same. Yep. Definitely.
That wanting to be really good at what I'm doing and where God's asking me to go is never anything I'm good at. And so there's like that gap of like, and the feeling, it's not always failure, but the feeling of failure, or that feeling of not being equipped enough to hit those places, that is daunting. And that's where so many leaders just stop. They don't lean into that. Like, okay, why am I feeling this? Or why is this so hard?
You said failure, and that's really interesting. It jogged my memory and made me remember that in that, like right around that same time, my friend and I were making like t-shirts, you know, when they used to have those little cutouts and you'd iron them onto shirts. Yeah. I made one that said failure with like the U kind of sideways. Failure is an option.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. Because so many people at that time, like I remember people saying failure is not an option. It was like a slogan, you know, and I was like, failure is an option. I have to be, the only way I know to move forward is to fail forward.
Yeah.
And keep going. Like Jesus can make up all the difference of my failure, my lack, everything that I'm a complete mess for. But if I'm not even willing to just fail terribly and let Him deal with it, then I won't go anywhere.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, if your perspective up until you're the person in charge is just, well, all they do is they're up front and they give a message and whatever.
And it's so easy.
That is so not your story, nor do you feel like that's even my skill set or gifting. I mean, go down the line. Then automatically you're going to be like, yeah, no, I don't think so. I don't think so.
Exactly.
So
I was definitely a background girl.
Background
girl.
What? Tell me about that.
Okay, so I'm the firstborn, but my sister and I have different dads. So we are both firstborns, and my sister is a far greater personality than I am. She's like way more outgoing, and she's like fun. Her name is Joy, you know, all this stuff. And so I always was kind of like the quieter one. I was always thinking. I was journaling all the time. I was reading books. I was off in the corner, very much like my granddaughter Ellie. I was very much like that, and just kind of like, I would rather be sitting in the corner watching the room while she is moving through the room, talking to everybody. And so I always felt like I was a background person. And so then when I moved into something that had put me in a place where I had to like talk to people, I probably at that time would have said that I didn't really like people all that much. Because I was busy watching their behaviors.
Yeah, that's
and also because I'm a perfectionist, was probably judging them also. No, I was actually judging them also.
This is one of those times I actually had the thought, I really wish that AJ was being recorded within this. So AJ, having worked here for 3 years, and you can just give me the nod, AJ, if you would agree with this. But to hear her say that, would you actually believe that is like, exactly. So he's shaking his head, especially Miss Bright from the top. Go ahead, Brenton.
Yeah, I was going to say, I don't know you super well, but every time I've met you, you've been like, hey, how's it going? Here I am. And like, I love it. So that's either a lot of growth or I'm just learning a lot.
Or I'm being fake.
Yeah. Well, I'm just learning so much.
No, I don't believe you're being fake. And having the privilege of knowing over just the last 5 years, for sure it is growth. I want to pull back to something though, and I don't mean to keep like sticking on this, but
No, it's fine.
I do think for someone maybe listening, especially as we move into where you're at right now, what was the process of going through? Some of it's just that determination. It sounds like, but when you initially had that resistance to, I was just the background. I'm just serving. This is just an extension of my love for the Lord, and then you really had somebody come and champion and sponsor you to go, nope, you're going to the next level. Um, as you're walking through that process, coming to the spot of like, yeah, this is just what I'm going to do. What did go through your mind? What did you have to solidify or even, put in place, whether that's spiritually, mentally, whatever, to actually go, yeah, I'm going to move forward in this?
A lot of prayer, lots and lots of prayer, lots of being very, very honest. I think sometimes when you're trying to do something hard, the fake it till you make it kind of mentality will come up in your mind, and, the imposter syndrome and all that stuff.
Oh, yeah.
So in your prayer time, sometimes you'll want to frame it like, Lord, put your word in my mouth. It's like, I'm freaking out that you are wanting to put your word in my mouth. Like being that honest with God.
Yeah.
And because he can work with that. That's what I'd say, bathe it in prayer. Like if you're afraid to move forward into something you've never done before, get on your face, because God can do something with you.
Yeah.
And he will surprise you, and he will take you places that you would have never dreamt ever.
Yeah. Yeah, that's really good. So serving in youth ministry, you're doing that, but just because you do that doesn't mean that you're necessarily a pastor, or even, at Foursquare, we have a process of licensing. I mean, when did that come up within this whole scenario?
Well, after I was serving for quite a few years, the pastor at the time, Lynn Furrow, he said, you should probably get your ministry license. And I was like, what for? Like, because I was already doing the thing. I don't see why.
Yeah.
Why do I need to do that? And the only reason, like, I prayed about it and asked the Lord about it and stuff, and I didn't really get like some people are like, I was called into ministry, however that happens. But for me, it was just simply an obedience thing.
Yeah.
Like my pastor asked me to get my ministry license, and I was like, all right, okay. I did it very reluctantly because like I don't have the background for any of this kind of stuff, but I was obedient to it, and the Lord has used it. So
yeah,
that was one cool thing. That's how I ended up in that spot where
now you're pastor.
Yep.
And the pastor now that would become in the fun in between would be the one that to help lead.
Yeah. Yep. And then you're the one that talked me into ordaining.
I talked you into it.
Because I was like, why do I need to do that? And it's like, it's the same thing. It's like the Lord uses for me like thematic situations. That's how I know, oh, I'm here again. Okay. And it's like, they say like the negative around the mountain, I'm going around the mountain again. Well, the Lord will take you around the mountain in the positive too, if you're paying attention.
Sure.
Yeah.
That's good.
It's just around and around, up and up, around and up.
They call that paths of righteousness.
There you go. I like it.
That's a much better spin, isn't it? That's good. It's good. So then tell us maybe how you found yourself where you are right now. You're moving forward from that space of like, I was the background, I was just serving pizza. All of a sudden I'm in charge of these young lives now, at least from, that standpoint. What has your ministry journey been like since then?
Well, I think that part of the reason why I made it through leading in youth ministry at that time was because my daughter was in youth ministry. And so at the same time that the Lord was pushing me, I was pushing her. So I had somebody to talk to about it at home. Be like, I don't know, Sarah. She's 13, mind you, at the time, 13, 14 years old. And I'm like, I don't know, Sarah. I don't know if I can do it. She's like, you could do it, Mom. You could do it. And then she would turn around and say, because I had like just pushed her right into doing worship ministry for the youth. And she was like, I don't know, Mom. I don't know if I could do it. And I was like, you could do it. And so really grew up together in that way. But then obviously after she graduated and had been there for a while, I think it's pretty close to 8 years.
In ministry, youth ministry.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. That is no small thing. That is no small thing.
Yeah, I think it was pretty close to 8 years.
That's like 3 or 4 people's tenures in youth ministry, usually. That's pretty good.
Under 2, and it's getting smaller.
I think it's 1.5 years, actually. But anyway, keep going. That's incredible.
Yeah, it was a long time. I'm not sure if it was quite 8 years, but it's pretty close. And then I transitioned out and thought I did that pretty well. Not really. I didn't know how to do a transition, but we did it. And then I just kind of became like a jack of all trades kind of person in the church. Whatever the pastor at the time asked me to do, I was doing it. So at the time, I wasn't on staff or anything, but I was in the office. I was a stay-at-home mom. And when my son started going to like preschool and stuff, I'd come in and do little bits of this, that, and the other thing. Yeah. And then we had a transition. Our pastor left, and we didn't have a pastor for 4 months. And we got a video call with, I just lost his name. You know his name.
Dan Munt.
Dan Munt, thank you.
The district supervisor at the time.
Yeah, that guy.
This is 2020, by the way. I know this because this is where I start to onboard within this conversation. But go ahead.
Yeah. So we were in a meeting, a video call like this, and he was asking each of us that were on staff at the time, what do you do? And I was the only pastor that was on staff. And he was like, okay, so Starla's going to do intern pastoring. And I was like, what are you talking about? What is happening right now?
Nice.
And so that put me in a really weird place because I didn't know how to do that, obviously.
Nobody
and
does.
like I said, nobody knows what they're doing when they step into ministry. You just go and trust the Lord.
Yeah.
So again, I started praying and asking God, what do you want me to do? What am I supposed to do with this? I have no idea. And the only thing he said was communication. And I started telling the church everything that was going on, everything, what we were doing, what was going on with the church, what we were looking at, everything I could think of to communicate to them so that they wouldn't feel like they didn't know what was happening. Because I found out really quick within like the first 2 weeks of our pastor moving on, and we were trying to figure out what we were doing, and Dan Munt came in and did those conversations, that everybody seemed to be freaking out a little bit.
Yeah.
And I was like, what do you do with that? And of course, in any transition, you lose people and they go, and you can't hold on to them. The Lord knows how to take care of them, so you let them go, and you handle the people that you still have, and you love them, and you care for them, and you keep touch with them, and you communicate really well, and then intro Chad into our world.
And then everything got worse right from there.
It did not get worse. It got so much better.
Thank you for saying that. I'll slide you that 10. I promised you later.
Yeah, I was going to ask earlier if you paid her to be on this podcast or say that she listens every week. There were some of those things that I was going to ask.
Our very first paid guest is right here. No, I thank you for telling us. Actually, some of that story I didn't even know. I didn't know that was how you actually became the lead within that. And I know and maybe to just kind of give context for those who aren't aware, this is like middle of 2020, pandemic. We still don't even know what's what during
Yeah.
all of this. You guys also had a major storm called the derecho come through here, which really hit Cedar Rapids pretty hard, and so there was that on
Yeah, it
top of
did.
everything, and it was just a really, really crazy season. And what I do know, as I entered into this, one, I was always impressed with the leadership that was here at Cedar Rapids, Foursquare Church, Springs of Life, however you want to call it. But that Starla also stood out in a way of, and I think that the determination that you're talking about there, how you don't know what you're doing, but we're going to figure this out and we're going to do this together. And there were even some times, I remember even in the interview process, you were pretty candid of like, we're kind of a hot mess right now, because and that's maybe not even one or any group of people's fault. It's just the culmination of where everything was at the time, and that we had to navigate that. I mean, it wasn't just this church; it was everybody in any context was like, what is going on in the world right now? Looking back at that season, just that in between space, what were some of the things that you even look back now and go, that was tough, but I really had this formation rise up in me that is useful even to today?
Well, I would say that if you are working in a church or are a part of a church or participating in any kind of leadership where it's just volunteer or you are doing the whole thing, that it is super important to build relationships with the people in your church that are deep and long lasting and do not buckle and fold just because the wind blows.
That's good. Yeah.
And a lot of that, all of that comes from the people really focusing on who Jesus is and what he means to us, and then loving each other like he loved us. And I think that was the key part during that period of time, is the reason why I wasn't afraid to tell them that, okay, things are a mess. It's a mess. I know it is, but hang in there. We're going to get through this, and just reassuring them over and over and over again that we're going to get through this. We're going through a process. It's going to be okay. And it was a lot of just encouraging and reassuring, which I was getting from the Lord. Because if I remember during that time just begging God to help me connect with these people in a way that they would stay, because I know that when shepherds leave, the sheep scatter.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
They just go. But the relationships, like, okay, I'm going to say this, but it's true. And maybe, I don't know if it's true for me, but I'm just going to say it. Like,
okay.
Pastors come and go from churches,
yeah,
but the people stay.
Yeah.
So they have to, the relationships that were built between the people, and plus in this particular congregation, there are lots of cross-relational people in this church, like extended family members, like the whole family tree. That tree of people holding on to other people in this church is why we made it.
Yeah.
It didn't have anything to do with me. I just happened to be the person that got to say, yeah, we're going to do that, or no, we're not going to do that. And so we took a lot of time to, we planned a worship and prayer event right smack in the middle of the transition, just to get everybody on the same page and everybody praying to the Lord and being as one together and being solid. And then when you came, it was still a hot mess, but we made it.
So some of that was my fault. Well, and I'll own it. Listen, and I want to say thank you for walking through that, but also really well spelled out once again how ministry really is the people, and that is the focus. And I can attest. You're right. There is, I call it their living legacy. They've been here, for decades. They've been a part of this church, and we're in our 95th year. that doesn't just
Yeah.
happen because of one leader or even a collection of leaders. It is obviously it's the Lord who builds his church and maintains it, but it's in his church, his people, and
Absolutely.
how important I think we all realized in 2020 and beyond how important and sustaining relationship has to be within that, not
Yeah.
just within ministry, but just to live like we might enjoy quarantining for a week or two, maybe some people, maybe even longer, but at some point you need other people, you need that interaction, and you need that relationship.
Yeah, absolutely. Going back to what Brenton said about how every time he sees me, I'm always like, hey, how's it going? I had to practice doing that. I had to learn how to talk to people, to have an expression on my face that was less than just because I was always thinking, always
she's using that emoji on her face.
Why are you saying it like that? Why are you thinking that way? What is happening right now? Yeah. I was always like that. But I would literally be upset. I'd walk past a mirror, and I don't know why this happened like this, but it was during that time frame. I remember being worried about how my face looked to people because I wanted it to be welcoming to them. And so I had walked past a mirror one day and saw my face. I was kind of scowling a little bit, obviously just thinking. But the Lord told me to practice smiling. And so I literally just practiced walking around, smiling all the time and talking to people with a smile on my face. And my face is mostly like this when I'm talking to people. And with Chad, it's like this because I'm listening very intently. Why are you saying that?
No, that's true.
Why are you thinking that way?
Well, that's you know what though, how incredibly practical. And to any introverts out there, myself included, there is hope for us, but it does take it takes a little work. And
people think I'm an extrovert, and I'm not. I'm an introvert. I am not an extrovert.
I'm a little bit
may not seem
speechless
like it
right now. Yeah, no, that's.
I do some work with a ministry coach off and on, and he talks about building soft skills. He's like, you might be proficient in one area, but maybe you don't have this skill or this skill. And he goes, how do you get better at it? You work at it. So
you work at it.
That's good.
Yeah, you're doing the things. You do the things to help others come to Jesus, and whatever that looks like, sometimes you got to learn it.
Yeah, I think when people are comfortable, they open up.
Mm-hmm.
If they're always worried that you're upset with them, so I don't scowl at them very often.
Yeah.
I want to. You've said something a couple times, and I think it's a great segue as we talk about this next section. You talked about leading from second chair a couple times, and your role officially, and I say that because in ministry you have your title, and then you have all the other things that you do that don't fall underneath that title. That's in any role. I don't care what it is within, especially within church, vocational, bivocational, however you want to label it. But your role title is executive pastor. And I was, even when I was talking to Brenton about this, I think you are probably the first executive pastor that we've had on this show. So tell us, what, for people who don't know, and maybe asking for a friend, what does an executive pastor actually do?
Help me, because I need to know.
Oh my gosh.
I told you I was asking for a friend.
Yeah. Everything that everybody else doesn't want to do.
Wait a second. Hold on a second. That feels like a shot fired just a little bit. No.
It's ahead. It's all of the extra details of things that make sure something gets over the goal line, over the gets to the end point where we said we did it and we did it well. That's pretty much what executive pastoring is. It's a lot of task-driven work, lots of making sure schedules are running, things are in order, that calendaring things aren't forgotten, which I'm sometimes terrible at. But I've learned some processes that have helped me. I'm getting better at it every day because you have to keep working at your skills. And I've never been an executive pastor before. This is the first time, guys.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I've seen a consistent pattern throughout your ministry journey.
Yeah.
So what you've been doing this? You've been doing this for 5 years now.
Because one day Chad Garrison said, "Oh, you're the executive pastor of our church," and I'm like, "No, I am not. What are you talking about?"
Let me actually, because I remember this very clearly. I can even tell you where we were at, because it was after Lindsay and I had received the assignment. We were going to be placed, and so we were coming out to look at houses out here, and we met up with you and Jen Birch, who's our church administrator, at Cafe St. Pio, which is in the Czech Village, which is one of your favorite areas. And
it's my favorite coffee spot.
Yes, and I was asked. I had 1,000 questions about processes and things like systems. That's just how my brain works with some of this organizational flow and things like that. And Starla was answering all of them. Like, she was just, yep, this, boom, boom, boom. And I remember I looked over and I said, why aren't you the executive pastor? And I don't remember what you said, but it was something probably along the lines of like, nope, thank you. I don't, whatever. And I said,
I'm good.
And I said, I think you're the executive pastor, is what I said. And correct me if I'm wrong, I'm pretty sure I remember knighting you like this, like putting my hands as if it was my sword on one shoulder versus the other, just reaching across the table. Is that true? Right?
I'm pretty sure you did that. Yes.
Okay. So from that moment on, you were officially knighted as the executive pastor of Springs of Life, Cedar Rapids.
Yeah.
What then went through your mind? And I know this has been a growing process, but I want to just curious from the start to where you find yourself now, like, what did that change?
Not a lot. I was
great.
When
Next
it comes
question.
to like the actual the things that I was doing, the workload that I was doing, I already had my fingers in so many of the different pieces and knew how to work things, because I would pick up pieces when people were on vacation or whatever and help out in any way that I could. And so basically I ended up doing it full time.
It's true.
Pretty much.
It's true.
It's true.
So the paycheck. But
I think in the beginning, go ahead, Brenton.
The paycheck changed.
Wait, Brenton, what are you doing? What's happening?
No, we don't talk about money.
We don't talk about Bruno here. What are you doing?
Bruno, you're funny.
Well, okay, so maybe for clarification, because we have most people, I think, I don't know if they really do. They think they know what the lead pastor does, or senior pastor, depending on your context. And then there's the executive pastor, as you said, kind of does everything. How would you differentiate between the two from your perspective? What is the difference between being in the lead, as you said, or first chair, and then the second chair?
I think in the first chair, you're deciding the direction that we're going, listening to the Lord and deciding what we're doing. Second chair is implementing how we're getting there.
Okay, so you take the vision in a lot of ways and help go, okay, this is how we're going to do it.
You have all the fancy words.
I mean...
That's why you're the first chair.
Oh, gosh. Maybe. I don't know. I don't know.
I actually think, Jen Birch and I were having a conversation about this the other day, and some of the things like a typical executive pastor does, like taking care of the building stuff and all of that, is actually more on her plate as administrator.
Yeah.
And so I have a unique, different place. I spend more time. It's more people than anything. It's a lot of tasking, but it's also like loving and touch pointing with people on a weekly basis, seeing their faces every Sunday, week in and week out, and gauging where they are and trying to step in and see what's going on. And usually that's, they weren't there or whatever. Is your schedule okay? Do we need to change something? Are you overworked? Are you tired? Things like that. But I like to spend more time with people than I do tasks, but I spend a lot of time with tasks than I do people.
Well, and I will say this, just one of the things I've observed, and I've always appreciated, is that you do find a pretty good balance. I know it's been a growing process, and I think for any of us it is, but between the processes and the people, and being able to go, this is the hat I have to put on here, and so I have to do that. And I will also say this. I know one of the things, because the word that is in the job description that we work together to create, was that you're really there to help create the cohesiveness between the processes, the vision, the strategy, but also the people and the ministries that are a part of all of that. And so it is no small role when it comes to what the executive pastor does. I actually, I mean, this, I had a setting where I served in that role as well. And that gave me a new appreciation for what it is that you do. And I never take that lightly and go, oh, seriously, kind of a thing. It's more of a, nope, I know what that's like. And I think I'm speaking more to lead pastors, or those that do not yet have, Brenton, an executive pastor. When you do get one, that really is, it's like an extension of you in a lot of ways. And that is so important. It's so important.
Yeah, I think that one of the hardest parts in this church was trying to get everybody on the same schedule.
Yeah, sure.
Because I think as executive, for me anyway, in where I'm at, everybody was doing their own scheduling for a Sunday, and the overlap was crazy. Like, people would just schedule people, and even though we use Planning Center online, sometimes it doesn't matter. People are busy. They just know their regular schedule. And trying to get everybody on the same schedule so that we're not double booking everybody and wearing everybody out. We have something really unique in our church that a huge chunk of our people actually serve on a regular basis. Yep. And so back in the day, I remember somebody saying that, 80% of the work is done by 20% of the people. And ours is actually kind of flipped. 80% of our people are participating in some way. So when you have that many people working in the building on a monthly basis, you better have a really good schedule. Yeah. And trying to get everybody to switch to a singular rotation has been a real fun challenge, because people like to be in control of the schedules. And I'm like, no, I want control of the schedule.
In a loving way.
Yes, in a loving way. But I could see it was a huge need, and things run a little bit smoother.
What part of your role do you think, if people are looking at it, they hear all of that and they go, yep, that makes sense. You're air traffic control. You're helping make sure the senior pastor doesn't drive us off a cliff in certain ways. What are some things maybe that people would be surprised to learn that's a part of what you do?
Oh gosh. Well, when I think the misunderstanding of executive pastors is that they actually have control of decisions.
Okay. Explain that.
Because we don't. Executive pastors don't have control of decisions. I don't care if it says executive. I'm going to have to ask somebody else. I'm second chair. So you can't just side swipe the lead pastor, to ask the executive pastor to get what you want to do. Do your special thing you want taken care of. That's not how it works. I don't actually have any decision-making capability other than what's been given to me. And so there's certain areas where, like scheduling and different things like that. But if we want to do some big thing, sure, you can tell me about it, but I'm going to take it to Chad.
Yep. Yep. Well, and I want to make sure too, and maybe this is my reaction is and this was something I had to learn for us personality working wise. That's not a deference. When she says that, it's not a deference of like, I just don't want to deal with that. Somebody else gets to make that decision. There really is an honoring of this. Here's the actual authority. And even as I say that, it sounds like I'm like the boss. And I actually, I hate that word.
You do.
And I don't lead in that way. But I think this is actually a really great way to ask this question of segueing of like, so how have you learned to lead from the second chair? Like you said, so it's not I don't get to make that decision, but like, tell us the heart behind that and how you've grown into that space.
I kind of think of it as kind of like a gatekeeper. So everybody comes to the gate and says, "Can I come in?" And the gatekeeper gets to decide like what comes in and what doesn't come in, but they got to relay the message before they open the door.
Yeah.
Right. Good. So that's kind of how I think of that. And also at the same time, like if you're an executive pastor and you get the privilege of sitting in the office with your lead pastor, your number one duty is to be honest. Be honest with your pastor and don't just say yes because you want to say yes or you don't want to be disagreeable or you're worried about whatever. Just be honest, but then also be willing to yield.
AJ, is she honest? Heavy nod there. Yes. That's good. No, I will speak to the other side of that. Something else I have always really appreciated. And it's not a like sometimes Starla, could you just say yes? That would be great. But
yep.
I have found that it really is a sharpening in a lot of things of, I don't come into it with I have the best idea and I know how this is going to work. But if I'm truly going to, whatever word you use, collaborate, co-create, I'm going to work with the team. I, as even though I'm the lead, I have to be willing to listen and hear the shortfalls, the things that don't make sense, don't even fit who we are, and this is just to be vulnerable at the place of somebody to go, hey, are you really in a good place to even be doing that right now? That's always a fun one to hear. But but it's necessary, and I think if you're going to have people that are serving with you and on your team, you've got to be willing to hear that. Yeah,
I think I'm probably on a monthly basis. I'm asking you, are you okay? Are you good? Like just checking on you. Not because I think there's anything particularly wrong with you, but sometimes it may be like it feels like you're carrying something heavier than you normally are, or you're in a rush or something is just got you going. And part of, I feel like my job is to just check on you. Are you okay? Are you doing all right? Is there anything I can help you with? You have anything on your plate that I can take from you? Just stuff like that. It's very helpful to a lead pastor when an executive pastor pays attention to them and can offer some help instead of, I remember in the beginning, you were interrupting me. You were interrupting me in what I was doing as like when I was working, and you come and say, hey, do you have a minute? And I'm looking at you like, I'm in the middle of something. You're so gracious. You're so gracious. You're like, this girl doesn't know what she's doing, and I'm just going to love her anyway. Cool.
I never said that.
And you'd be like,
going.
Well,
yes.
when you have a moment, can you come talk to me? I was like, yeah, I could do that. But I've learned over time that all that stuff can wait. Like if you ask me, like, do you have a minute? Yeah, I have a minute. I need to have a minute for any executive pastor should have a minute for their pastor when they say, do you have a minute? Like all the tasks are tasks, but it's important to, if we're going to move the needle forward in the things that the Lord has for us in the church, and you never know when your pastor says, do you have a minute? If the Lord is going to speak in that spot. And so you just be ready to hear whether you have a million tasks to do or not. They'll always be there. They're never going to end.
That's right. Nothing in ministry ever does. That's why I like mowing the lawn. I told you that yesterday because I can look at it and it's
yes.
done. Ministry, not done.
Yeah, it's like dishes. No, they keep coming.
That's true.
So does
or
the
laundry.
Lawn,
and so does the laundry.
You know what? We could do this. Okay, so you just killed all of our examples.
Plant a tree. There you go. Plant a tree. It'll do its work for you. And you reap the benefits later.
Come on.
That's good. That's good. So I think this is something that you could maybe copy paste into any setting, but maybe from your perspective, when it comes to, and I say setting, I meant more roles. So when it comes to taking the the senior pastor's vision, we'll just use that fancy word, right? And turning them into actionable plans. What is your process on that, or how do you approach that? Because I do think it doesn't have to be senior pastor, executive pastor. It could be, ministry leader and, this person serving as a volunteer level. I mean, there's all kinds of different things and settings. So what have you found to be most fruitful in the process of being able to help turn A into B?
Oh gosh. I'm haphazard. Like I honestly, when I looked at this question, I didn't write anything down because I am a little more haphazard.
Yes.
Yeah, you found the one.
Yes.
And the reason why I say haphazard is because one of my spiritual gifts is faith. And so I will just go run off a cliff and try something. And I've done it many times. Sometimes it works out, sometimes it doesn't. But fly for Jesus. Might as well. But I think if you're like in a meeting and you want to figure out how to bring things forward, pay attention to the movement of your heart in the moment. Because when the vision is being given to you, the Lord is and will give you pictures of what he's trying to do, what he would like to do. And some people get hooked up on it like, oh, I don't want to say anything, like I'm trying to control things or whatever. And it's like, no, just be honest and say, well, I think actually we could probably do that like this. And then they might say, oh, I like this, but I don't like that. What if we did this? And you start the process with honesty and what you think you're seeing, what you think you're hearing, and move forward and work together until you get a plan. And then you just work the plan. The date, time, who needs to be there, how many chairs, do we need tables, what's going on prior to that? Do we need a handout? Mm-hmm. All the things.
Yeah. For senior pastors, executive pastors, is there really has to be, it's got to be a mutual, we're both learning together in this.
Yeah.
And personalities aside, anytime you're working with somebody, you're not going to agree on things all the time.
No.
And, I personally don't ever lead from the spot of like, well, I'm just in charge. So that's what we're going to do.
No, you do not.
Kind of a thing. And so there has to be a humility on that side as well. But I think it's got to be on both sides because
absolutely
relationally, and Starla can attest to this. I mean, we've had our highs, and then we've also had times where it's like, I need a week away from talking to you. And
yes,
that is my vacation. And, and I think I won't speak for you, but for me, what keeps bringing it back to where we can continue to work together is that I have to come back to that humility of like, no, I was wrong in this too, or I don't have this figured out, or I need to own my side of this so that we can actually work together, because when we're working together, that actually is what helps create the cohesiveness all the way around. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, I agree with that. I think you're also unique in the humility that you have as a senior pastor, and willing to say that you're like, you don't have it figured out. You don't know. You're not a pretender, Chad. You're the real deal. And I appreciate you.
Oh.
And you're right. I'm surprised that on this list, how do you handle conflict with your senior pastor when you're both like, sometimes life is crazy and you're both tired at the same time.
Yes.
And the grace is low at the same time, or you're one's fine and one's not. It just is a matter of things, but I need to become more aware of when it's like a little strange, to just be sometimes I just say what I think way too quick and I should just calm down. But I do believe that honesty is the best policy, but sometimes that can kind of come off when you get comfortable with people. You let your guard down a little bit. You forget where you are. You forget your role, your positioning in order of things. And you just you can just off the cuff say whatever you're thinking. And it can come off wrong. And you have to be willing to say, I probably needed to just be quiet at that moment, and I'm sorry. But yeah, it's doable if there's humility on both sides.
Yeah. And I would agree with that. I would just say, that's in any role. It doesn't necessarily be the one underneath whoever's making the decisions, that kind of a thing. And I do want to affirm, I want to say thank you for all of what you said earlier. And you two are the real deal. And it is, there's a lot of things I just feel like I don't function as well if I don't have your support and help in it. And so I just want to say thank you as well.
Well, thank you. Yeah, I would say if you're an executive pastor, every time you're in a meeting with your lead pastor, you better have a piece of paper and a pencil, and you need to take notes, and you need to write down what's going on and what he's thinking. And if he says something or she says something like, we should probably do that in the fall, then at the end of summer, put it in your calendar, remind for the fall and what that thing is. That's what I do.
Yeah, she does.
It helps.
Yeah.
Well, and I
learned in the first 2 years, I didn't do that. And I missed things. And you're like, weren't we going to do something? And I was like, most of my life has been learning from, I messed up. I didn't get it. I forgot. And I've had to learn processes to help myself.
You know what, though? That's wisdom. If that is wisdom, because you are learning. You're not letting it continue to be this thing that you don't pick up or change, that kind of a thing. And that makes you a great leader. Not just in this role, but also in a lot of other things, and the grace that you have with others, and the ways that you continue to extend yourself to be available, make sure the people are the focus. The process will help us get there with the people, yep. But that is the focus, and it's through your learned experience.
Thanks. I have one last thing to say.
Okay.
Forgive everything. Don't just overthink everything. And whatever keeps spinning, deal with it.
Okay.
As the executive pastor.
So what? Okay.
You want me to unpack that?
Absolutely, I do. One of those. Yes, those were great bullet points. Now, unpack that.
Unpack it. Well, forgive everything. It's not all about you. It's just not.
That's good.
And you can either live offended or you can forgive everything and live unoffendable. It's a lot easier if you just forgive everything. Some things you have to deal with, but you'll get there. Do your best not to overthink everything, because I'm just thinking all the time, and I can overthink in such a way that I will create a bigger mess inside my own soul and then bring it to the table and barf it all over the table to the person that I'm talking to. And it comes out in everything. It'll come out in your marriage. It comes out with your kids. It comes out in every meeting that you're with, because it's the only thing you're thinking about, because you've just been overthinking. Mm-hmm. So do your best not to overthink.
It's good.
And whatever keeps spinning, deal with it. If you forgive everything and you're not overthinking and there's something still going, go deal with that thing. That's the thing you need to deal with. So if it's an offense or a hurt or just something that bothered you that just won't stop, you have to deal with the spinning thing. Otherwise, it will continue. It will breed resentment. It will breed bitterness, and it will turn into a garbage dump in your heart. And you will not be able to help anybody from that point forward. And you will come around the mountain right back to it.
Wow. Talk about mic drop. That was it. You might be the first guest also to ever say, and I got one last thing I want to say here.
Yeah, I wrote it down.
I'm glad that you did. Something that you have learned to do is to file that. And I will say this, just drawing back to what you said earlier. One thing that's been super helpful for me is I will just go, hey, remind me, or just kind of keep in the periphery of this, because that's going to be helpful to remember later. And you excel at that. And so, Starla, I am so grateful for this time, all that you have shared. I feel like we could keep going, and maybe we'll have you come back to do an addendum to this conversation and beyond. But I want to say this personally. I am grateful for you as a friend. not just as a coworker, but somebody as a co-laborer in this mission that Jesus has given us. And so I want to thank you for that, but I also want to thank you for your time here today. This has been fantastic.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me.
Thanks again for listening. If you'd like to connect with our guest, we have made ways to do so available in the episode show notes. And if you'd like to connect with us further, support the podcast, or sign up for show updates, just go to withouthatingit.com to get started. And don't forget to subscribe to Ministry Without Hating It wherever it is that you get your podcasts so you don't miss out on our future episode releases. Thanks again for listening, and we'll see you next time.